Welcome to Whippoorwill Holler. I'm Miss Lori and this is Mr. Brown. We live in the hills of Arkansas. We love the Lord. Keepers of the old way, but accept some of the new. We love to cook and we love to eat. We love to garden. It's in our blood. It's how we stay sustainable and fill our pantry. We do a lot of canning and preserving. We live a sustainable life. We love our family. We work hard. And every once in a while, we like to dance. So y'all join us. Hi friends. We're going to be making some macaroni and cheese tonight for supper. So I just thought I'd bring y'all along because, for one thing, I've not had video out in just a few days. So it's been really busy. But I just want to show y'all how I make my macaroni and cheese. My homemade macaroni and cheese. I like mine just a little bit different than maybe most people make theirs. I don't like mine baked. I don't like baked macaroni and cheese, and that's just me. And I know there's a lot of good recipes out there for baked macaroni and cheese, but I prefer mine being made on the stove top. And I think it's because when you bake macaroni and cheese, it tends just to get the texture and just tends to get a little bit dry. But like I said, there's a lot of good recipes out there. But mine has maybe a different ingredient in it, and it's really creamy and just really good. So I thought I'd bring y'all along, and I've had people ask me, Miss Lori, how do you make your homemade macaroni and cheese? So that's what we're going to be doing. So let's get busy. Let's get the noodles cooking. Okay, I've got my pot of water back here. In this recipe, we're just going to be cooking about 8 ounces of elbow macaroni. And I'm going to put me just a pinch of salt in my water. Maybe just 1/4 of a teaspoon or so. And pour my macaroni in there and get it cooked. That usually takes about 10 to 12 minutes. So that's 8 ounces. You can double and triple this recipe if you want to. So let's get the noodles cooked and then we'll make our cheese sauce. Noodles are just about done. And I've got 2 tablespoons of butter here in my pan. And in this cup here, I've got 1/2 teaspoon of pink Himalayan salt. I've got 1/4 teaspoon of granulated garlic, and I've got 1/4 teaspoon of powdered onion powder, and then I've got about 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. And what I'm going to do is I've got 2 tablespoons of 2 heaping tablespoons of flour. And I'm going to put my flour in with my other dry ingredients, all my seasonings. And I'm just going to kind of stir that up. And I'm melting my 2 tablespoons of butter here in a pan. So what we're doing here is fixing to make a cheese sauce. Just kind of stir all that together. And now that my butter's melted, I'm going to put my flour in here. And I'm going to stir that. And I want it to cook just a couple of minutes and kind of brown my flour. You don't want to have a raw tasting flour in your macaroni and cheese. It just takes a minute or so to kind of cook that flour a little bit. And I've got a cup of milk here. If you want to, you can use a cup of half and half. I've also got 1/4 cup of sour cream. And I got 2 cups of shredded cheese. And I'm just using white cheddar. You can use any kind of cheese in this homemade macaroni cheese. You can use smoked cheddar, mild cheddar, sharp cheddar. You can use Gouda. A little bit of Gouda in there, just whatever you like that melts good. You need a good melting cheese. Okay, I've got this cup of milk that I'm going to put in here now. And I'm just going to keep stirring. And I'm going to let this cook from anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. It's going to kind of thicken up a little bit. And at that point, then we'll put our sour cream in there. And I'm going to let that cook, and I'm going to drain my noodles. Okay, my mixture has thickened up a little bit. Now I'm going to put in my sour cream, 1/4 of a cup. Now at this point, some people like putting different seasonings in their mac and cheese. Some people even put in their cheese sauce, put just a little bit of nutmeg in there. But that's not something I care for, so that's just up to you. So I'm just stirring that sour cream into our sauce here. I'm going to put it back over the fire a little bit. Let this cook for just a minute. But don't let it come to a boil. You don't want it to come to a boil. Now, if you don't want to use sour cream, or you don't have any, but you have some Greek yogurt, you can use Greek yogurt in place of the sour cream. It's really good too. So I'm going to keep stirring this and just let it cook for just a couple minutes. But like I said, don't let it come to a boil. And after this cooks just a couple minutes, we're going to add our cheese to it. Okay, it's to that point now. You can see how thick the consistency is. You can see how thick it is on the back of my spoon. Now we're going to add our cheese. And this is a good melting cheese. And we're just going to stir this and get that cheese melted. Now you can't tell me this ain't going to be some good cheesy macaroni and cheese now. And there's so many good recipes out there for macaroni and cheese, that's for sure. I just tend to like stovetop better than I do putting it in the oven. This is how I always made it for the kids. You see, look at that. So I'm just going to keep stirring this, and then I'm going to get the noodles. Let this cheese melt good. And we'll put our pasta in here. Okay, now we're going to put our pasta in. I try not to let my pasta get cold either before I add it to my cheese. You want your pasta to still be hot. And just stir that into your ooey gooey cheese. Man, that looks good. You ain't gonna find any box macaroni and cheese that's gonna be this good. And like I said, you can use any cheese. Any kind of cheese that does melt good. I've had macaroni and cheese that had a mix of sharp cheddar and Gouda. That was good. So I'm going to get this in our serving bowl. Okay, I got my serving bowl up here. We're going to put our mac and cheese in this. Get all that good cheese in there. Now, if you feel like it's still a little bit thick, you can add a little bit milk to it. And right there is Miss Lori's homemade mac and cheese. I thought since I had to taste this anyways, I'd just show you my supper plate. We've got baked beans, we've got some kielbasa with barbecue sauce. I love it that way. I've got some of my fermented homemade sauerkraut, and then I've got my good homemade macaroni and cheese. It's so creamy and so delicious. I know y'all gonna like this recipe. It's kind of like a grown-up macaroni and cheese. And like I said, you can use any kind of cheese you want to, just as long as it's a good melting cheese. So I hope y'all like this recipe, and I hope you try it. And Mr. Brown's not home from work yet, but I know he's gonna be hungry when he gets in. So if you like this recipe, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, because it really does help us. And y'all have a beautiful rest of the week. Be safe, stay healthy, and God bless everybody. We love y'all.